My name is Kyle. I'm 38 years old, a project manager for a small architecture firm just outside of Columbus, Ohio. My wife, Lila, is 35. We've been married for 10 years. Or at least we were. When people say marriage is hard, they're usually talking about bills, kids, fatigue, routine. But no one prepares you for the day your spouse looks you in the eye and asks for permission to sleep with someone else. It was a Tuesday, not a stormy night, not after a fight. Just a regular, boring Tuesday. We were eating Chinese takeout in front of the TV when Lila muted the show mid-sentence. "I need to ask you something," she said, not even glancing at me. I remember the pit in my stomach. Something in her tone was off. It wasn't angry or scared. It was businesslike. "Okay," I said carefully. She took a breath. "Have you ever thought about opening our marriage?" I laughed. I thought she was joking, that maybe she read something online or saw a trashy TV episode and wanted to poke at the idea. But she didn't laugh with me. "I'm serious, Kyle." For a second, my mind just blanked out. Open marriage? Lila, the woman who used to get jealous when I looked too long at the waitress? The woman who asked me to delete female coworkers on Facebook during our second year of marriage? Where is this coming from? I finally asked, my voice tight. She looked away, her jaw clenched. "We've been stuck. You know that. It's like we're roommates. I need to feel alive again." Alive. I repeated. My food turned to ash in my mouth. Her words bounced around in my head, making less sense with each echo. She leaned forward. "I'm not saying I don't love you. I do. But I think we could both benefit from seeing other people without ending what we have." What we have. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just stared at her. And in that moment, I knew something had already happened. She wasn't asking for permission. She was asking for forgiveness in disguise. "Who is he?" I asked. She flinched. "It's not about someone specific." She was lying. I knew it. My wife couldn't lie well, not when it mattered. That night, I slept on the couch, not because we fought, but because my body wouldn't let me lie beside her. Not after that. The days after were strange. We didn't argue. We didn't talk much at all. She still kissed me goodbye in the mornings, still texted me, "Don't forget the groceries," but something cold had settled between us. I felt like a man haunting his own house. I started noticing the signs. The phone always flipped face down, the late meetings at her agency, the new lingerie I never got to see. It ate me alive. One evening, I found a receipt tucked into the side pocket of her gym bag. A restaurant bill for two, dated 3 nights prior. I hadn't seen her that evening. She told me she was at book club. Book club, right? When I brought it up, she didn't deny it. She just shrugged. "I told you I wanted to explore," she said, "come as you please." "No, you told me you wanted us to explore. You said we'd talk first. Set boundaries. Not just sneak off." She met my eyes, and for the first time, I saw someone else staring back. Not the woman I married. Not the person who once cried watching old wedding videos. Just someone cold, distant, maybe even cruel. "That's what you're upset about? I didn't loop you in on the first date." She said it like it was nothing. Like our vows were optional now. I didn't speak. I walked out. That night, I went to stay at my brother's place for a while. He lived across town with his wife and 2 kids. It was cramped, but I needed the distance. I needed air. He offered advice, of course. Stay or go, fight or fold. But none of it mattered. I wasn't ready to make a choice. I wasn't even sure I still existed in my own marriage. 2 weeks later, I agreed to talk. Lila invited me to lunch at a quiet diner we used to love. I thought maybe she'd change her mind. Maybe she realized she wanted to fix things. But when I got there, she was already seated, smiling. Too brightly. She wore makeup. A lot of it. She looked incredible, which somehow made it worse. "I'm glad you came," she said, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. "Are we really doing this?" I asked. She nodded, serious again. "Yes. But Kyle, it doesn't have to be awful. We can set rules. Boundaries. We can see other people but still stay us." "There's no us in this, Lila," I said quietly. She sighed. "I just want to feel something again." That line again. And somehow, some messed up part of me said yes. I nodded. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was because I knew the minute she said it, she had already crossed the line, and this was just my way of leveling the field. If this is what you want, I told her, then fine. We'll play by your rules. At first, I didn't actually do anything. I didn't go on dates. I didn't sign up for apps. I just pretended. I lived my quiet life, watched TV at my brother's, and tried not to think of her with him, whoever he was. But Lila didn't pretend. I started seeing the photos online. Her smiling with a man I didn't recognize. A coworker, maybe. She tagged mutual friends. There were dinners, hikes, a weekend retreat. It crushed me, and I was going to leave. I swear I was. But something stopped me. Her name was Claire, Lila's best friend. They'd known each other since college. Claire had always been around. Family barbecues, birthdays, our wedding. She was the quiet one. Smart, funny in a dry kind of way. But I never thought of her like that. Until one night. It was my nephew's birthday. Lila didn't come. Claire did. We ended up standing outside on the porch after everyone else went inside. She looked at me for a long time and said, "You don't deserve this, Kyle." She said it like she knew everything. And I don't know what happened next, whether I crossed the line or just stepped into the gap Lila had torn open, but I kissed her. She didn't pull away. The next morning, I woke up in Claire's apartment, confused, guilty, but oddly at peace. It was wrong. I knew that. But it also felt like the first time someone had actually seen me in months. Claire wasn't a fling. She didn't want games. She didn't even want a relationship. Not at first. But we talked. We laughed. She asked how I was sleeping. No one had asked that in weeks. And Lila? She noticed. She started calling again. Late at night. Asking where I was, what I was doing, if I was alone. One night, she said, "You're not seeing anyone else, are you?" I could have lied. I didn't. "Yes," I said. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. "Ooh," she whispered. I didn't answer. She hung up. And just like that, the game she started, it turned on her. For the first time in months, I felt control return to my fingertips. Not revenge. Not satisfaction. Just control. I wasn't trying to hurt Lila. Not really. But I wasn't going to bleed quietly for her either. If she wanted freedom, then so would I, and I was starting to realize what that looked like. And what it didn't. Claire, and I kept things simple. She wasn't just Lila's best friend anymore. She was my safe space. She didn't push for labels. She didn't ask for promises. She just listened. "You don't have to explain anything to me," she said once over dinner, her voice calm and even. "But if you need to, I'm here. No judgment. Just space to breathe." I told her everything about Lila, the proposal, the lies dressed as honesty, the way she made me feel like a ghost in my own marriage. Claire nodded, like none of it surprised her. "Lila always had compartments," she said carefully. She put people in little boxes. Useful. Threat. Boring. She loved control. "Did you know?" I asked her. "Did you know she was seeing someone before she told me?" Claire looked away. "I had suspicions," she admitted. "And you still." "I didn't come to you because of her. I came to you because I saw someone breaking." Her words stayed with me. Lila's spiral started slowly, little things at first. Passive-aggressive texts. Canceling meetups with our shared friends. Then came the confrontation. It was a Saturday. I was at a park with Claire. We were sitting on a bench, coffee in hand, nothing romantic or inappropriate. Just quiet. That's when Lila showed up. She came around the walking path like a storm, sunglasses on, face tight. Claire stiffened beside me. "Well," Lila said, stopping a few feet away, "I guess the rumors are true." I stood up. "Lila, this isn't." "Spare me." She crossed her arms. "I thought you said you weren't ready to date." "I wasn't. But you made your choices. You asked for this. With her." Lila snapped, her voice cracking. Claire stayed silent. "I didn't plan this," I said quietly. "But I'm not going to apologize either." Lila laughed bitterly. "So what? You just what? Fall into bed with my best friend? Is that your big moment of healing? That's rich coming from you." "I told you about the open marriage," she hissed. "I asked you. I gave you honesty. And you stabbed me in the back. You call that honesty?" I took a step closer. "No, Lila. You softened the blow for yourself. You cheated first. You just wanted me to bless it afterward." Her eyes filled with tears, but her expression stayed hard. And then she looked at Claire. "I hope you realize what you've done," she said coldly. Claire didn't flinch. I do, she replied. I walked into a mess you made, and I still showed up. Lila didn't speak to me for 2 weeks after that. She shut down, told her family I had emotionally abandoned her. Some of her friends unfollowed me online. Her sister sent me a message saying, "You broke her." And maybe I did. Maybe she was hurting now the way I had hurt before. But no one seemed to ask why any of this had happened. They didn't know about the nights she left and didn't come home until morning. They didn't know about the times I cried quietly in the bathroom while she laughed at messages on her phone. I wasn't the villain. I wasn't the hero either. I was just human. One night, I found an old photo in my sock drawer while I was packing a few things. It was our honeymoon. Lila had scribbled on the back in her handwriting, "To forever." It nearly broke me. What happened to that girl? What happened to the man she fell in love with? I wondered if she ever sat alone and asked herself the same questions. Or if she'd rewritten history already. Maybe the bad guy in a story where she played the misunderstood wife. Claire helped me stay grounded. She never pushed, never tried to replace Lila or pretend our situation was normal. But I saw it in her eyes, she cared. One night she asked, "What do you really want, Kyle?" I sat quietly, thinking. "I want peace," I said finally. "I want to stop feeling like I'm always apologizing just for existing." She nodded. "Then start living like you mean it." It was around that time Lila texted me. "We need to talk. Please." I didn't answer. A few hours later, she sent another. "I think I made a mistake." I did respond this time. "You think?" Or you know. She didn't reply. The next day, she showed up at my office. No appointment. Just walked right in like she still had a key to my life. "Can we please talk outside?" she asked softly. I followed her out. She looked worn down, tired. The confident woman who pitched the open marriage idea was gone. "I was wrong," she said immediately. "I thought I wanted freedom. I thought I could separate love and desire. But I couldn't. I made everything worse." She reached for my hand, and I pulled back. "Kyle, I didn't think you'd actually find someone." There it was. The truth she'd never said aloud. She was fine destroying our marriage, as long as I didn't move on without her. "I don't know what you want me to say," I replied. "You lit the match. I want us to try again. And what if I say no?" She swallowed. "Then I'll have to live with that." I didn't give her an answer that day. I needed time. My heart was a battlefield, torn between nostalgia and reality. Claire noticed I was distant and didn't press me. One night, I told her everything. What Lila had said, how it made me feel, how I didn't know what the right thing was anymore. Claire didn't cry. She just looked at me and said, "You don't owe me anything, Kyle. But you owe yourself the truth. Don't choose someone out of guilt." That hit hard, because I'd lived in guilt for a long time, letting Lila write the rules, bend the truth, and pretend we were both to blame. But maybe I wasn't. Maybe I had just been surviving. And now I wanted more than that. But Lila wasn't finished. A week later, I received an email from her lawyer. She had filed for separation. No explanation. No further conversation. Claire was the one who found me that night, sitting alone in my car outside her apartment, gripping the steering like it might keep me from falling apart. She filed, I whispered. Claire just reached over and rested her hand on mine. "You're free," she said. "It doesn't have to feel good right now. But one day it might." And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. But as I would soon find out, Lila wasn't done with her secrets. And Claire? She had a few of her own. I thought I understood everything. I thought Lila had betrayed me, lost me, and finally let go. But I was wrong. The real damage hadn't even started. The papers she filed were for separation, not divorce. I assumed it was a step toward closure, a way to draw the final line between what we had and whatever came next. But then her lawyer contacted me again, asking for details about assets, finances, and ownership of her home. That's when it hit me. Lila was gearing up for something. This wasn't an apology. It was a strategy. I spoke with my own attorney. He warned me to be careful, told me that even if things had been open, the courts wouldn't care much about the emotional side. If Lila could prove infidelity, even under an informal open agreement, things could turn ugly. She could try to frame your relationship with Claire as the reason for separation, my lawyer said. Even if she proposed the open marriage, it could backfire on you. I felt sick. "She's the one who wanted it," I said. "She had someone else first." "Yes," he replied. "But proving that?" That's another story. I tried to call Lila. No answer. I messaged her. Still nothing. Then I got a knock on my door. It was Claire, and she looked pale, shaken. "I need to talk to you," she said, walking past me before I could speak. She pulled her phone from her purse and opened a folder. Photos, dozens of them, screenshots, text threads, surveillance-style shots. Of me, of us, together, in parking lots, at restaurants, even outside my apartment. Some of them dated weeks back, before Lila filed for separation. "Where did you get these?" I asked, my voice rising. "They were sent to me," she whispered, "from an anonymous number. But it's her. It has to be Lila." I stared at the images, my stomach twisting. This wasn't a woman trying to fix her marriage. This was a woman setting a trap. "She's trying to paint me as the one who destroyed everything," I said slowly. Claire nodded. "She's building a case. She wants the house, the savings, everything." I couldn't believe it. After all the lies, after all the nights I waited for her to come home, she was turning this around, playing the victim. I should have seen it coming. Lila always knew how to spin a story. She always needed to be in control. Even when she broke something, she'd convince people it was already cracked when she found it. And she wasn't alone in this. A few days later, my brother called. "Lila's been talking to Mom," he said. "Says you blindsided her, that you manipulated her into the open marriage and then used it as an excuse to cheat." I almost dropped the phone. "She what?" "She said Claire seduced you while you were vulnerable, that she tried to warn her." "Unbelievable," I muttered. He hesitated. "Kyle, you know Mom always liked Lila." "Yeah, I knew. I could already see it, the slow shifting of family opinions, people pulling away, unsure who to believe. All it took was a few quiet lies, whispered behind closed doors, and Lila was painting herself into the role of the abandoned wife. I felt like I was suffocating. Everywhere I turned, someone was questioning me, my choices, my version of the story. Even people who had watched Lila disappear from family holidays, ignore my calls, and come home smelling like someone else's cologne, even they hesitated. That's the thing about secrets. Once they start to surface, everyone's memory suddenly gets cloudy. Claire stayed by my side. She offered to give a statement, to testify, if needed. "I don't care what she says about me," Claire told me. "I just want you to be okay." I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But something was gnawing at the edge of my mind. There were pieces missing. How did Claire get those messages? Why would Lila send them to her and not the court? What game are we all playing? And then, I found it. An old photo album tucked inside one of the storage boxes Lila had left behind. Mostly vacation photos. Us on the beach. Us hiking. One of Claire, from years ago, laughing on our back patio. Except this one, it had writing on the back. A little note. "See, told you he was cute. Your move." Ed. I froze. The handwriting was Lila's. The date was 4 months before our wedding. My hands went cold. I flipped through the album again, heart pounding. More little notes. Snippets of their inside jokes. Mentions of me, of Claire teasing Lila about how serious I was. And then, one I'll never forget. "If I ever get tired, you're up next." I stared at those words for what felt like hours. What did they mean? Had Lila been grooming this whole situation from the beginning? Had she always seen Claire as her backup plan? Or worse, as a way to keep me tethered? My chest tightened. I needed answers. I confronted Claire that night. She was sitting at her kitchen table, sipping wine, her hair pulled back casually like nothing had changed. "Did you know?" I asked. She looked up slowly. "Know what?" That Lila had talked about this. About us. Years ago. Her face twitched. A flicker of guilt? She said it jokingly. Claire said, "You were just some guy she met." I didn't think it meant anything. Did she ever say she wanted you to step in? If things went south? Claire's silence was answer enough. "Claire," I whispered, "what is this? Am I just a chess piece between the two of you?" Her eyes welled up. "No, Cal, it was never like that. I never meant for this to happen." "But it did happen." She nodded. "I fell for you," she said quietly. "But I'm not sure Lila ever let go." I left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I just walked out into the night, my breath shaky in the cold air. What the hell had I gotten caught in? My wife wanted an open marriage. Her best friend stepped in. Now, they both claimed to love me, but neither one of them had told me the full truth. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was a game, and I was the prize. But that night, something changed. A knock on my door. Claire again, soaked from the rain. "I found something," she said, holding up her phone. A voicemail, sent from Lila, but never meant for me. It was Lila laughing, gloating. "I knew he'd fall for you, Claire. That's the thing about Kyle. He's predictable. He always needs someone to save. You were perfect." Claire's face was pale as she hit pause. "She used me," she said. "She used both of us." I stared at her, not knowing whether to scream or cry. Everything, the affair, the separation, the so-called freedom, it had all been orchestrated by Lila. Lila's voice still echoed in my head. "I knew he'd fall for you, Claire." I kept hearing it, over and over. A smug laugh wrapped in confidence, like she was proud of the way she played us both. Like we were just characters in a story she wrote. I had always known Lila could be cold, calculated even, but this wasn't a lapse in judgment. It was strategy, a long game. Claire sat on the edge of the couch, holding her phone like it might burn through her fingers. "I didn't know she'd said that," she whispered. "I didn't know how far it went." I wanted to believe her, but doubt had started to plant itself in my chest, growing roots. "She knew I'd fall for you," I said quietly. Claire looked up. "But I didn't know I'd fall for you. That was supposed to make it better. It didn't." The next few days were a blur of legal calls, arguments with friends, and long drives just to get out of the house. Lila wasn't responding to my emails. She'd gone completely quiet, leaving her attorney to handle everything. I was tired. Tired of pretending like any of it made sense. Tired of trying to make moral decisions in a game that was never fair to begin with. And then my lawyer called. "Something strange came up in discovery," he said. "What now?" She made changes to her financial records before filing. Transferred a large sum to a private account 6 months ago. Never disclosed